The message you are reading right now was never accidental. It did not emerge spontaneously, and it did not come from nowhere. It was established long before your doubts, before you began postponing things, before life led you down detours. Regardless of how far you have drifted from yourself, how many times you have gone off course or stood still, this moment was already written into your destiny, and now it has arrived. The waiting is over. The delay has been lifted. In the spiritual realm, permission has been granted. A change has taken place, and it is directly connected to you. There is a person who holds influence, power, and access to closed circles who has unexpectedly taken notice of your name. Not out of suspicion, but out of revelation. Something was discovered that was never meant to reach the public. And this discovery led to a private meeting being requested. Not a public one, not a formal one, but a private one. Back rooms where outsiders have no access because they discovered inconsistencies, patterns that cannot be explained by logic, documents and traces suggesting that you survived where by every calculation you should have failed. Your name appeared in places you have never been. In conversations you never initiated, in prayers you knew nothing about. People who have never met you spoke about you, not to define you, but to understand how you are still standing. This is not a threat. This is an elevation. You are not being investigated. You are being observed from above. The structures that previously ignored you are now searching for the source of your resilience. Because your survival cannot be explained by earthly reasons, yet within it, the traces of heaven are clearly visible. And as it is written in Scripture, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment shall be shown to be wrong. You thought this battle was only about your life, but your faithfulness, your inner decision has influenced far more than that. Your prayers have broken through walls. Your quiet agreements spoken in solitude has found an echo in the systems of power. And now, the weight of your obedience is opening doors you never even knocked on. This person is not coming to expose you, but to elevate you. The words that will be spoken have already been weighed in the spirit. Even a single touch will carry meaning. The reason for this meeting may shake you, but do not be afraid. The one who has led you through fire will not abandon you at the threshold of your breakthrough. You will not anointed to remain unnoticed. It is written, I know the plans I have for you, plans for good and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. And now, as you step into this role, you are invited to declare your readiness. Subscribe to the channel and write in the comments the words, I am ready. Not as a formality and not as a habitual gesture, but as a conscious confirmation of your inner decision. Because what continues to unfold is not an abstract message, but a concrete movement in your life that has already begun, even if you cannot yet see it with your outer eyes. This step is a declaration of agreement, a sign of readiness to move forward without falling back into old cycles, without the doubts that previously held you in place, and without the need to constantly prove your worth to a world that is only just beginning to recognize you. This is a spiritual call. Heaven is calling you by name. Will you answer? The change you have felt was not only spiritual in nature, it was strategic. A revelation is now taking place. There were hidden hands that tried to suppress your story, distort your name, and delay your growth. One of those hands belonged to a woman who wore many masks. In one moment, she pretended to support you. In the next, she remained silent when your name was diminished. She entered your life appearing as a friend, but her silences, her insinuations, and her deliberate vagueness were never accidental. And now the silence she used as a shield is becoming the very thing that exposes her. In the spiritual world, there are no secrets. What was whispered will now be spoken openly. The Almighty is revealing the one who stirred confusion behind your back, who passed fragments of your truth to those who were never meant to have it. She destroyed what she could not control. But the time of chaos is over. You have wondered why everything is happening right now and why it is happening to you. The answer has always been part of your very nature. You were not born merely to survive, but to dismantle what has been established for the wrong reasons. You came to shake the systems. What looked like rejection was a redirection. The delay was not rejection, it was protection. And now a strange but precise alignment is coming together. The person she whispered to was not merely a listener. He was a messenger, a government official, a man who had learned to see through deception and read between the lines. When your name surfaced, he did not dismiss it. He examined it, and instead of finding flaws, he found light, integrity, and a consistency that cannot be fabricated. What she attempted to use against you became proof of your calling. This is not revenge, this is revelation. There were files, reports, and communications that were deliberately kept from you, but that time is over. And as it is said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The pressure you felt was not your imagination. The fear was not merely an emotion, it was discernment. You were not only being attacked by darkness, you were being observed by people who did not understand your assignment. But now, the veil is falling. Heaven has cleared the interference, and the one who blocked your path is watching her influence collapse. Not by your hand, but by divine intervention. The Lord is fighting for you. You only need to remain still. She twisted words, blocked opportunities, and constructed a false image. But she has lost, because what is written by the hand of God cannot be erased by manipulation. A restoration is now taking place. Lost time, interrupted connections, missed opportunities. That was not coincidence. That was intervention. But her time has expired. The attention of heaven is now directed toward you, not to judge you, but to execute justice. The locked door is revealing itself to be a hidden entrance. The upcoming meeting is not merely bureaucratic, it is prophetic. A sign that earthly structures are aligning themselves with heaven's order. You were never destined to be forgotten. Reconsider the past. Reconsider the confusion. What previously had no explanation now makes sense. You have not lost your mind. You have not been forgotten. You are being vindicated. The truth was hidden, but not lost. And now it rises, together with your name. What felt like chaos is revealing itself to be a realignment. The oppressive silence was a sacred pause before movement. And now the answer has begun. The hand that tried to erase your future has signed its own exposure. You sense movement in the invisible because the Almighty has stepped into your timeline. Now the spiritual battle is manifesting in conversations, opportunities, and revelations. Secret after secret will be unveiled, and everything will begin to fit together. Those who laughed at your silence will witness the vindication. Those who believed the distorted version will be left confused. But this is not the hour of revenge. This is the hour of vision. Look forward. What is coming carries more depth, more beauty, and more meaning than anything that was lost. The truth has not come to wound you, but to awaken you. This is not destruction. This is the breakthrough you were born for. And this encounter that appears coincidental was written into your story long before the betrayal ever happened. Heaven had already accounted for everything. Light always exposes everything. And now the lights are on. The patterns are breaking apart and the obstacles are being removed. This is not only protection, this is a proclamation. God is speaking your name in rooms you have not yet entered. This person is not the ending. He is the beginning of the revelation. You carry generations with you. Your story will restore the faith of others. Your presence changes the atmosphere. Do not make yourself smaller. Do not doubt. Do not dismantle what has already been built. Trust the hand that has preserved you. You were one step away from a decision that looked like fate but would have led to destruction. You paused, you prayed, you listened, and the protection received you. The woman who tried to stop you was not stopped by a counterattack, but by justice. She mistook silence for weakness, but the silence was a sanctuary. It was not about revenge, it was about liberation, about breaking false bonds and ending a cycle. You did not merely endure this, you are rising above it, and now something new is beginning. You have released the false and received the true. The loss was preparation, the betrayal was protection. The blessing of the Lord carries no sorrow with it. The delay was a purification. The fog has lifted. The connection that held you going in circles has been broken. It was not only about one person. It was an ancient pattern, and it is finished. God does not speak with anger, but with reward. The doors that were closed for protection are now opening. You did not defend yourself. You chose faithfulness, and now the Lord says, I will speak on your behalf. I will restore what was destroyed. You will witness your rise, not for the sake of revenge, but for the sake of truth. Remain watchful. This spirit may attempt to return in a different form, but your ability to discern has changed. You no longer ignore the signals. You move forward with clarity. The coming hours will bring encounters and conversations, not coincidences, but precise moments. You did not overestimate the danger. The trap was real, but it did not work. And now, you are surrounded by freedom. This is not a fantasy. This is an instruction. Clear the space, make room, be ready. You are no longer unnoticed. You are being observed, and that is a responsibility. You do not explain the past. You step into the future. Prepare yourself with focus, not with fear. Heaven has moved. Now, it is your turn. From this moment forward, it is important to understand one thing. The process you are entering will not look the way you expected it to. It will not be loud, conspicuous, or theatrical. It will be precise. Everything that comes from God in its proper time comes without great fanfare, but with an irreversible impact. You have already noticed how your perception of people, conversations, pauses, and tones has shifted. You no longer hear only the words, but also what lives in the silence between them. You sense where the truth lies, and where there is only the habit of sounding right. This is not a random development. It is a sign of transition. For a long time, you existed in a state where life seemed to be running alongside you, but not with you, where doors seemed to be opening somewhere nearby, but not in your room. And every time you were ready to take a step, something held you back. Sometimes it looked like circumstances, sometimes like other people, sometimes like your own exhaustion. But it is now becoming clear that many of those stops were not obstacles, but slowdowns, so that you would not arrive prematurely at a place where you were not yet ready to carry the weight of what was waiting for you. You did not realize that you were being watched, not with curiosity or suspicion, but with genuine attention. There are times when heaven observes how a person handles the silence. Not a storm, not a crisis, but precisely the absence of an answer. Because it is in these moments that the true nature of faith reveals itself. You kept moving forward, even when you received no confirmation. You did not abandon the path, even though you could have. And that was noticed. A phase is now beginning, in which much that previously seemed disconnected will come together as a whole. Memories that once caused pain no longer reach as deeply. People whose opinions once held power over you are losing their significance. You suddenly notice that you no longer want to explain yourself, justify yourself, or prove yourself. This is not coldness and not indifference. It is the return of your energy to where it belongs. It is a sign that your inner value system is being renewed. It is important not to rush things. When God accelerates processes, He does so without haste. You may find that decisions come more easily, but the weight of responsibility for them is felt more deeply. You no longer act out of fear of loss. You act from clarity. This is a subtle but decisive change. It means you are no longer living reactively. You are beginning to live intentionally. In the near future, you may be confronted with unexpected contacts. People who have been absent for a long time may reach out again. Some will be sincere, and others will not. Here, you should not analyze for too long. Your intuition is already trained. If an uneasy feeling remains after a conversation, that is a signal. If calmness remains even without enthusiasm, that is a sign of agreement. You are no longer obligated to maintain relationships simply because they existed in the past. The past has fulfilled its function. You may also notice that certain opportunities present themselves without effort. Before, you had to literally break through walls. Now, doors can open after a single conversation, a single letter, a single so-called coincidence. Do not underestimate this. It is not coincidence. It is the result of a long inner alignment. When a person stops resisting their calling, the environment begins to cooperate with them. But with this comes responsibility. You can no longer afford to live on autopilot. Your words now carry more weight, even when you speak less. Your presence influences people sometimes more strongly than you realize. That is why it is now especially important to be mindful of what you allow into your inner field. Music, information, conversations. All of it either sharpens your focus or blurs it. Do not be surprised if you feel a need for solitude. This is not isolation. This is a tuning, like an instrument being brought out of a noisy room to be finely tuned before an important performance. You are not losing people. You are only temporarily shifting your frequency. Those who truly belong with you will remain. The others will leave without conflict, because they can no longer tolerate being near you without feeling inwardly unsettled. And that is normal. Within you, there is already the understanding that the compromises of before no longer work. You cannot settle for less, even when it feels safer. You already know what a life without authenticity looks like, and you are not willing to return to it. That is maturity. It is not always comfortable, but it always liberates. You may ask what comes next, and the answer will not look like a clear plan with dates and bullet points. It will look like a direction, like the feeling of knowing where you will not go, even when you do not yet fully understand where exactly you are going. That is reason enough to begin. Complete clarity comes during the journey, not before it. Right now, it is especially important not to underestimate small steps. Sometimes the most important decision looks like a refusal. The refusal of a meeting, the refusal of an offer, the refusal of an old reaction. These refusals create space for the new, and you are already in that space. You have simply not yet grown accustomed to its stillness. You are not too late. You have not missed your moment. It is only just beginning. Everything that came before was preparation. Even the mistakes, even the delays, even the relationships that did not end the way you had hoped. They taught you to see more deeply, to feel more precisely, and to trust yourself more than you did before. If fear sometimes washes over you, that is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you are crossing the boundaries of your old identity. Fear is not your enemy. It is an indicator of growth. The most important thing is not to make decisions from a place of fear. Breathe and stay in the present moment. You are not alone in this process. You are entering a phase in which much will happen, not because you have strained and pushed, but because of who you have become. You have become more honest. You have become more inwardly calm. You have become more attentive to signs. You have become more stable. And it is precisely this state that allows you to hold what previously slipped away from you. Keep moving forward. Do not accelerate and do not put on the brakes. Simply be in alignment with what is already unfolding. And remember, if you are here, if you are hearing this and feeling a resonance, then the process has already been set in motion. You only need to not obstruct it with old doubts. You are ready, and if you feel that, you have already taken the most important step.